Robert Halfon, settled back into Parliament. A recent vote regarding public sector pay. Explain your reasons for voting against that Labour.
Well, I want to knock this on the head once and for all. This was a Labour amendment on the government screen speech. It was pure gesture politics because it would have changed absolutely nothing, because these decisions are decided once, firstly by the pay review bodies and then by in the budget. Second of all, if that motion had gone through, not only would it have not affected public safety, but the government would have likely have fallen, and there might have been another election straight away, wouldn't have, unless they had a majority. So I'm not there to vote down the government, but I am there to support public sector workers. So I believe that public sector workers are guardians of our country. They look after our safety, they look after our security, they look after our health, our education and our infrastructure. I need many in Harlow. In fact, I met a nurse this morning, and I want public sector workers to have more pay, and I've come up with a number of I think ways that the government can do it, because there's not a lot of money going around. So I've suggested publicly that what we should do is reduce the overseas aid budget temporarily, not forever, but cut it by a few billion. At the moment, the overseas aid budget will get between 12 and 13 billion a year. What I'm saying is we reduce that by a few billion so we can at least give an inflationary increase to hard-working public sector workers, focusing initially on the lower paid. I asked the Treasury Minister in the Parliament only a few days ago that if the government have raised a lot of extra revenues because they've cut business taxes, so to use some of those revenues also to help support public sector workers. Now, these decisions will come after the public sector pay bodies, where the government have been able to do something with the local authorities. It's been announced this week about fire officers, firemen and women will be getting as I understand it, 2%. Now, I recognise that public sector workers, as I say, are guardians of our country. None of us would be here if it weren't for the work that they do, the service that they do, and I believe they should get a pay rise. Why wouldn't the government want to give public sector pay? It's not exactly a popular thing. We've got a difficult economic situation still. Still hundreds of millions of pounds are being paid to pay off the debt almost every week. The interest of the debt, not even the debt itself.
Now that you're back on the back bench, do you feel like you're a voice crying in the wilderness, or can you actually wield any influence? With all due respect, maybe answering your own question, your profile says you're higher than ever.
Well, I was really proud and privileged to have served as Apprentice Minister. I've got a passion about apprenticeships and skills. I've just done a speech on it at Harlow College just now. But as when you're not a minister, you're able to be a bit freer in how you speak out. I promised the public at the election, if I was voted, I would speak out for the people of Harlow. I'd fight for Harlow and champion Harlow. And I've been up in Parliament questioning the Treasury Minister on public sector pay. I've been in the media urging the government to do more on public sector pay. I will do everything I can, but I'm not going to vote for Labour Party motions that are superficially, completely, they look good, but actually they don't do what they say on the tin. They're all about gesture politics. I'm a supporter of the government, I'm a supporter of the Prime Minister, but I will do what I can to help public sector workers. I've been campaigning again on fuel duty, so we don't raise fuel duty. Can I just make one other point about public sector workers? People have said to me, what have I done about it? Well, I'll tell you what I did over the past few years, and again, all you have to do is look it up on Google. Type in Robert Halfon and the national living wage, type in Robert Halfon lower taxes, lower earners. I campaigned very hard for the government to cut taxes for lower earners. Now that has helped many low-paid public sector workers. Now you don't pay any income tax unless you're earning over £11,500 a year. That's taken 3 million people out of income tax altogether. I campaigned for a number of years on the national living wage, and George Osborne introduced it in 2015. Meaning workers many will be much better off, many hundreds of pounds, if not thousands of pounds, better off over the coming years. It's not perfect. Of course, we could do more, but given that there is a difficult economy, actually, I've campaigned to help people on low incomes constantly since I've been MP, and that is why I also campaign hard to get the government to freeze fuel duty, and why I've continued to do that.